Hello and welcome to Odd Sock Comics. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I am holding my camera in my hand. I wanted to show you a couple of things on my comic book wall. So right now I've got two shelves just like this, and I'm going to show you just what I've got. These are just the books that were kind of available. I have a couple of sets that I wanted to display, but I have two shelves. And these shelves are each 6 feet long, so there's 3-foot pieces of wood on them. So on this first section, I've got this in Phoenix Resurrection set, all of her different costumes over time. I like that one. I picked up, which one did I pick up first? I think I picked up this one first, and I love that. That is, so I may be kind of an old-fashioned. I think that would probably be 50s or 60s style. It's definitely later on there, but man, I love that style. So this, when did X-Men come out? 60s? Early 60s? So earliest 60s, later 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s, 2000s, and then Dark Phoenix. Anyway, this is an older set. I do like this. I like in style. Very, very digital looking, but it works. I used to collect him a little bit more, but I decided I wasn't going to try to complete anything with him or anything. But I do like this set. Definitely like having it on display. Let me show you what else I've got. So I've got the Artgerm Walmart sets up here that I still haven't opened, that I'm planning to do pretty soon. I've got War of the Realms, the Stellato. I could not get through this book. I'll explain a little bit more about that. I've been catching up on the Jason Aaron run of Thor, and right now I'm in Thor God of Thunder, like 24 or so, 23, 24. And the book that I'm reading right now, the story arc, is dumb. So I've got bits and pieces, but we'll see where we go. But anyway, I couldn't get into it. So I bought this Stellato cover, and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to read the rest. So I haven't even picked up War of the Realms going forward. But I've got that one up there because I'm trying to decide if I'm going to sell it or if it's something that I'm going to try to figure out and finish up. Then I have my Murder Falcon metal covers. I think the next one comes out next week that I'm looking forward to. I love every single one of these. These are great. And then there's my contest book that's out here. This room does not have sunlight shining in, so this should not fade. Like what you're seeing there is my studio lights. I've got a couple of Immortal Hulk, these ones as well. I haven't decided. I've gotten rid of almost all of my Immortal Hulk books, but I haven't. These last two, there's not really the value to sell them right now, but I'm just kind of trying to decide. I don't want to file them away right now. And then this is the big book. Okay, so this weekend I went to, this is a new one, I went to a comic convention. And I had my 4 kids with me, just me and the 4 kids, and so it's hectic. I can't spend time looking through boxes or anything. But I had my list that I've been working on, and so I was keeping an eye out for any books that were on the list. Most of the books that I want are they're the kind of books that would be on the back shelf, not so much in the boxes, so I didn't have to search through boxes. So I was just keeping my eye open for back shelves. I saw a couple of Marvel Spotlight number 5s. They were all a little overpriced. There's like a 4.0 certified 4. They wanted $500 for it, and maybe that's what it's worth. But that seemed pretty steep to me, so I'm probably gonna have to buy that one raw. But I picked up Secret Wars number 8, the origin of the black suit. Very happy to have this one and to throw it into the collection there. This came out about the time I was born, I think. What was it, February 84, something like that. So that's this one is very much in my life. You know, this led up to Venom, obviously. Venom was huge, Carnage was huge when I was a kid. The baddest bad guy. So this is one that I've always wanted as a part of my collection. I paid $65 for this cash. I planned to pay up to $80 for it. This looks to be a pretty good copy. I'll just kind of get a little bit closer. That's one of the nice things that I can do when I'm walking around with this. I didn't see any like spine ticks. I don't see any pieces missing. I looked at the back as well. It looked really good. There are some surface scratches. You can kind of see them in there. So it's no 9.8 or anything close to that, but it's a pretty decent copy. I'm pretty happy with it. It's a pretty bright red. Looks good. So that's one. I just wanted to show a little bit more about what I did with these shelves. So they're just square dowels that I picked up at Home Depot, and it's just a little tiny one, wood glued onto a bigger one. It's really, really sturdy. Nothing's gonna happen there. Now I've got it siliconed onto the wall. I was originally planning on just using silicone because that's something that I can scrape off. And as you can see, these are not. This isn't cinder block. This is a surface treatment that I hate in my house. But it's hard to get a good seal on that. So I went with silicone because it would be thick enough to kind of get in some of the gaps that are created here. And it ended up working okay, but I used some finishing nails to tack it in to hold it in place while it sets. Now right now it is in there, very nice and solid. Like I wouldn't hang on it, but I almost could. All right, and then because it is right up against the wall, and I always knew it was going to be, I was trying to figure out how to get a strap that wasn't distracting. So I had this. It's not fish line. It's much thicker than that. I think the fish line would probably be just as fine, or just work just as well, because there's very little weight actually on this. But I've got these finishing nails. I had the top two that I had tied across, but I couldn't get them to tension correctly. Ooh, that's no good. I couldn't get them to tension correctly, so I had to add a tensioner to get this string tight enough. So that's what the second pin is over here, and it's pretty solid. They're not stretching out. I probably will replace it with a fish line because this is thicker than it needs to be, and you don't want to be distracting when you're showing off your comic books. All right, so I hope that the audio is okay. I'm walking in front of my microphone and I'm not facing it, so this might be terrible audio. We'll see. Just trying something different today, but got a couple more things. So it was Free Comic Book Day. I did not pick up any books for myself. Again, I'm just taking care of all four of my kids today. Well, I always take care of all four of them, but my wife is out of town. Sent her off on a vacation with a friend, and so I've been here with the kids all weekend. We've had a blast. We've been totally comic book focused and have had a lot of fun. We just watched Thor: Dark World with them last night, and it's fun to watch them. They like, my two girls get nervous about the movies. They get nervous about the intensity of the movies, but after you talk to them for a little while, I say, just don't go to bed now because you're going to have the nightmares. Just wait until you see the resolution of everything. And they get really excited when they see everything come together. So it's fun to watch the movies with them and watch them learn to handle those kinds of things. Okay, so I went to Free Comic Book Day. I did not pick up any books for myself. I actually think I'll see if I can grab a couple when I go in on Wednesday, because I would like the Spider-Man. That looked interesting. It might be the first Absolute Carnage. It's not going to be super valuable or anything, but still seems like one that I would need to read. And there were a couple of others. Bloodshot #1 sounded like something that I would like. They had Punchline #1 on the wall. Of course, I've read that and I have that, so I didn't feel the need to grab it. I'll leave that to someone else because I definitely want people to read Punchline and pick up on that book. But I realized on Thursday that I had forgotten about Green Lantern on Wednesday, so I didn't pick it up on Wednesday. So I picked it up today and read it, and it was really interesting. It's kind of a standalone story, and I really did enjoy it. It's done in an interesting way. It's not typical. It's kind of got this story narrative that's pretty darn narrative, pretty wordy. You've got some action going on there, but then the cool part is, I don't know if you should give this away or not, but this definitely had a Doctor Who and his relationship with the Titus feeling to it. Kind of gives his relationship with the ring, so you can see him at the end giving his ring a kiss. Very interesting, cool story, and of course, gotta say it every time, The art is fantastic all around. Those shark guards. I mean, the details of it, so you can kind of see, he's got the lantern cutouts right here. Very cool stuff. Very wordy, and not for people who are all into action comic books. This one's a little wordier, but I liked it. I did, and it is a standalone story. So I think this one is just building a relationship between Hal Jordan and Bering, and that's something that I think is pretty interesting. Now I talked a little bit. That's what I liked about Tom King, is when he's doing relationship stuff, I think he does a good job with it. He's gotten a little pretentious, and his storylines, his story arcs are too big, where things aren't happening and they're stretched out just to kind of see how long you can stretch them out. This Grant Morrison doesn't seem to be doing that here. I don't know. Maybe he is, but this is just a standalone. Got to the business, kick back into the story next week. And this kind of loosely ties into what's been going on in the bigger arc, but it stands alone as well. So anyway, that was one more new book. Oh, I've got my list out right here that I'm going to go ahead and give a cross out here, having picked up book number 9. I had one really weird run-in with a guy because I was, towards the later end of the night, so I went on Friday night. And towards the end of the night, I got a little bit... My kids were getting tired and whiny, and we needed to go. And I had my 2-year-old son up on my shoulders, and I was trying to find out, just hit up the last couple of booths on my way out, see if there was anything else that I could pick up, because I didn't get quite as much as I would have liked. Comic conventions cost money to get in the door, and so when I walk out without anything, I like the experience. I like being there. I like seeing what's going on. But if you walk out without some other stuff, it doesn't feel quite as successful. So I wanted to see if I could pick something up. I had a goal of how much money to spend there, and on comic books, of course. But I did not hit it, so I had some cash left over at the end of the night, and I was looking just, could I find anything else? I went up to a guy and I asked him about Jimmy Olsen 134. He was like, we wouldn't have books like that here. And I was looking through his shelf. He had old Silver Age books up on his shelf. Like, why wouldn't you have Jimmy Olsen 134? And I asked him that, and then he said something, and he was just very not customer-centric at all. I did not understand what he was doing. And maybe he thought maybe he wasn't the owner of the booth. This is where I'll give some credit and some patience. Maybe he was just somebody filling in, didn't know what Jimmy Olsen was. Maybe he thought Jimmy Olsen was more like Archie or something like that. I don't know. But that's fine. It was frustrating towards the end of the night as my kids are yelling in my ear, and to have somebody just not understand. But you can't hold it against them too much. It happens. All right, so I am down, 5 to go. We are in May, so I'm right on schedule. If I'm going to pick up about one a month, I think that I'll be able to pull this list off. I think I'm going to have to pay more than $300 for Marvel Spotlight number 5 and for Hulk 180. I think I'm going to have to pay more than $300 for each of those books if I'm going to get them. But we'll keep the lookout. All right, one last thing. Just finishing up here. I did go through dollar bins. I had a few minutes where the kids were staying pretty focused. So I just grabbed a few things, and this was just anything that catches my eye. At $1, you can't really go wrong. Some of these are books that I'll take a look at, and some of them are strictly for... I've got a couple of magazine holders that I put just odds and ends books in. Those are for my kids to read. So I make sure that there's nothing too objectionable, and then I stick them in there. And it's so awesome. I love going into my kids' room. I see them with a couple of comic books on their bed. I see them reading them. My daughter will bring one to the dinner table, and I have to tell her to put it away for dinner. That's fun. We need to get kids involved in the comic books if they're going to keep coming. My kids really like them. But, when they're $5 a piece or $4 a piece, it's a little tricky to get them to kids. But if I'm only paying $1, not so bad. But so I bought Spider-Woman Omega. This is a Yasmin Putri cover, which I thought was really cool. I haven't read it. We'll take a look at it. My 4-year-old daughter loves Harley Quinn, so she grabbed all the Harley Quinn covers. She liked this one the most. I read these to her because Harley Quinn's kind of shaky, and I have to edit them, and they're a little adult-oriented, so it can get pretty tricky to edit them so that I can read them to a 4-year-old. Batman and Robin Eternal, this one was for my son who really likes Robin. Anytime that we can get a #1 to get a story started, if he likes it, we'll go pick up trades or let him read into that a little bit more. I picked up a couple issues of Batman Europa. I opened it up. I haven't really heard about it, but I opened it up. Reminds me a lot of Batman Damned, the art style. It's definitely a different art style, but it's just, it's not what you see in all of the comic books. A lot softer lines, if there's any line work at all on them. It looks like there's a little bit, but it's not inked the same way that most of them are. Plus, these felt like they're really high quality. It's like a thicker cover stock. They're shinier. Like, that's a quality book. But I picked up one of those. Another Harley Quinn for my daughter. Ghost Rider Trail of Tears. I thought I had #1 of this. It turns out that I did not. And I was just like, I'll pick up #1. Here's #2. We'll scroll through this. But I didn't. But it is a Clayton Crane cover and interior art. It's not bad. Another Batman Europa. This is the Venomverse War Stories, and this was a Matina cover. This is pretty cool. Just that Venomized stuff. Grumpy Cats and Pokey. This was my daughter wanted that one. And then Bombshells. I'll take a Zatanna cover pretty much anytime I see one. So I grabbed that. But I just picked up 10 books out of the bin. The guy gave them to me for $8 because that's what I had in cash. So I paid 80 cents a piece. And that's about it. So it was New Comic Book Day. I did go to the shop. Like I said, I didn't pick anything up, but I did let my kids pick up a few. I would show you what they got, but they're all in their rooms and asleep, so can't do that. I figure I'll just fill up the frame with a bunch of comic books, see how that one looks at the end. But that's all I've got for now. This has been a good weekend. It's been a very comic-focused weekend. Had a lot of fun. I always like these kinds of weeks that I can focus on comic books. It's a hobby, and when you get to really dig in and enjoy it and just kind of be patient and do what you want to do with it, it feels good, man. That's what I'll leave you with tonight. Just want to remind you, I've got to swing fast because this room is a mess. But we'll focus one more time right there on the contest book. If you haven't entered the contest, I'll put a link to it right here. Go ahead and enter, and I'll be doing the drawing in about 2 weeks. So that's coming up pretty quick. Get your entries in now. There's not too many. I think there were about 15, so your odds are awesome. About as good as you'll ever see on something like this. And it's going to be a random drawing, so the people who have done it up till now have no better shot than you do. So go ahead and enter if you haven't. Thank you, everybody, and hopefully you have a good week. Have some fun hunting ahead of you.